Hello, welcome to Mentoring with the Masters. My name is Jennifer Kuyrkendall. I am the Third Circuit representative for the Young Lawyers Division Board of Governors. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Linda Calvert Hanson. She is the director for the Henry Latimer Center for Professionalism of the Florida Bar. Linda, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some attorney conduct that results in grievances. What types of situations are you seeing as far as grievances coming into the Florida Bar?
Well, first off, I think I need to preface my comments and say that this isn't based on a statistical analysis, but it's more anecdotal observations from my experience talking to participants in our professionalism workshop, or by talking to lawyer reg bar counsel, or also from reading case files. So I do think there are a couple of things, more particularly for newer attorneys, that we're seeing. And I think part of it is when you realize the dynamics of what's happening for newer lawyers. And that is that law school doesn't necessarily teach you how to practice law. And then also we recognize that many lawyers are graduating with a heavy debt load. And then when you add that into the equation of the challenging economic situation that we've been dealing with, I think that that makes it a little bit easier to understand some of the problems that we were seeing. One of the ones is that new lawyers sometimes practice what we call kitchen table law, which is, of course, going solo, but without benefit of the experience from another attorney down the hall, or without perhaps having a veteran paralegal or legal secretary, because they're trying to, conduct law on a shoestring budget. And so that sometimes can be a situation that is rife with problems if they don't have a strong mentoring system set up. And we'll talk about some of the resources that are available for those individuals. Another situation that kind of comes out of this same mold with the challenging economic times is that we've seen that sometimes lawyers get into some business schemes that perhaps were not the best options. And I think this was happening more with the loan modifications and the mortgage modification situations. And I can tell you that with my experience in legal education, I had a new lawyer call me, and he was so guardedly optimistic, but he just got a new job, and the firm was out of Plantation, and they wanted him to open up a branch or a satellite office in Tampa. However, he was going to be the only lawyer in the office, and there was going to be another ancillary business also occupying space there. So he asked for my opinion, and my opinion is you immediately need to call the bar's ethics hotline. And of course, he did do that, and he did not accept that position because unbeknownst to new attorneys sometimes, that there can be some situations that they can get themselves into that are not in their best interest. Another example of this same type of situation with the economic situation playing a part is we see postings on Craigslist where someone will offer $50 to cover a hearing for them, coverage counsel. And the situations are that sometimes the judge is referring not only the coverage counsel, but also the attorney of record to the bar for appropriate disciplinary proceedings, because if a coverage counsel appears and they cannot advance the case, they don't have the authority, they don't know what's going on in the case, that is not an efficient use of the court's time and resources. So those kinds of situations where today most of our 20 circuits have administrative orders pertaining to that. But those are some of the types of situations that newer lawyers can find themselves running into problems. Then we always have the kind of judgment call situations as well. And one I can think of was a young lawyer. She was on with a new firm, and she attended a happy hour, left, and was involved in a car accident. And so she ended up serving 3 years in prison for the DUI that caused physical harm. And so she not only had to deal with the burden of knowing that she harmed somebody, she lost her job with a great law firm and her bar license, and then had to serve time in jail because of that lapse of judgment. So those are some of the types of situations. Social media is another very big area where we've had challenges with lapses of judgment, with people expecting to have privacy when indeed that does not exist on the internet today. So those are a few of the situations that can happen that can be challenging for newer lawyers.
As you mentioned, the economics of things is very difficult to deal with right now. Our numbers have just reached over 100,000. Many young lawyers cannot get a job. So what resources, certainly mentoring with the masters is one resource available through the Florida Bar, but what other resources are out there?
Well, we have several. First of all, I've already mentioned the Calling the Florida Bar Ethics Hotline. That is paramount because they can give you a perspective in advance of you actually taking some conduct. Another tool that we have available, it's currently called LOMAS, which is Law Office Management, but it's practice resources. For example, one area that is another place that young lawyers sometimes run afoul is the trust accounting rules. And they feel like they can perhaps borrow a little bit of money from their trust accounting, which we know is absolutely emphatically you cannot do. Well, there's a great CLE on maintaining your trust accounting. We have another program that's outstanding. It's called Lawyers Advising Lawyers. And there's no cost, and we have attorneys who have signed up and agreed to voluntarily speak with lawyers on particular practice areas. So if you don't know a lot about immigration or criminal law, you can talk to somebody who has been working and specializing in that particular area. They're not necessarily board certified, but nonetheless, they have skills and can guide you and give you a perspective about where you can get more information about a particular type of whether it's a pleading that you need or some other kind of information that's necessary. So the Lawyers Advising Lawyers is a very helpful program, as well as the Mentoring with Masters. I always advise people to listen to Judge Antoinette Plogstad's vignette about how to answer questions of a judge, how to conduct yourself in a hearing, because we do get more referrals coming in now by judges, and I think that those are tools that are extremely beneficial for all lawyers.
Well, thank you, Linda. You've certainly listed off many resources available to new lawyers. Visit the Florida Bar website. All of the resources mentioned are available there, and certainly keep watching the Mentoring with the Masters video series. Thank you.